Okay, my girls, welcome back to the class. And right now we have the reading part, and we have a new story which is Inventing the Future. And we said this unit in Unit 4 in our reading book for grade 6, we said that this unit is talking about the pioneers, people who did something for the new, for the first time, and who did something new for people to take advantage of and to use it in their daily lives. Today we have a very interesting story about a very interesting man. So I would like you to open your books on the page. Just a second.
149.
149. Thank you so much, Watim. So open your reading books in the 149 in the reading books. And remember, when we take any new story, we usually start by having genre, author, and question of the week. So who can tell me what is the genre of this story that we have?
Biography.
What?
Biography.
Biography. Biography. So what does it mean biography without looking to the book, if you can remember? We took it the first.
Like he's Jane Goodall, it's a real person. He's writing he's thinking and writing, like writing information. It's real information.
So biography is writing a story
about a real person.
About story a real person. Okay, this person, he's writing the story about himself, or somebody else is writing his story?
No, somebody else is writing.
Yes. Excellent. So biography, it means another person is writing a story about another person. For example, I like the story of Watin's life, for example, and she's somebody who is famous, and I want to tell her story for other people. So I would go and write a book about Watin, and I will call this book the biography of Watin. If you read the book, you will read her story and what happened in her life, what is the events in her life, but she is not the one who is talking about herself. I am the one who give that story for you. That's why we call it biography. But if a person writes his own story, then I will call it autobiography. And here, remember, in this word, as I told you about the prefixes before, in this word, this is the root word, okay? And this is the prefix, auto. Auto, usually it means what? It means something is done by itself. Done by itself. That's why I said automobile, auto car, okay? Autobiography, which means that autobiography, somebody is writing his own story. I will call it autobiography. If I'm writing about somebody else, I would call it biography. And then the author of the story is whom?
Murphy Ferguson. Murphy Ferguson. Delano.
So we have Murphy. Just a second. Let me open my book. Thomas Alva Addison by Murphy Ferguson Delano. Murphy Delano. What is the question of the week, my girls?
How do inventions happen? Miss, it's Murphy.
Murphy?
Yeah.
Okay, how do inventions, I will fix it now.
Happen.
And this one, it would be Murphy Delano. Okay, let's go right now to our books in the page 149 and start with the story. But before the story, we will see a little video about our lesson of today.
How do inventions happen? Most inventions start with a revelation, an idea someone has about how we can improve safety, solve a problem, or even cure a disease. Inventors like Thomas Edison are fueled by curiosity. Edison didn't work on just one idea at a time. He contemplated on new ideas all the time. At his lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey, he patented new inventions every month, including inventions such as the light bulb, the movie camera, and new versions of the telephone. Marie Curie was a scientist whose discoveries about radioactive materials played a significant part in treating diseases such as cancer. Her inquiry into how radioactive elements like radium worked changed the foundations of physics. In fact, Curie was awarded a Nobel Prize for her work in physics and in chemistry. The inventions of Henry Ford are good examples of technologies that were developed to solve practical problems. Ford did not invent the automobile, but he did come up with ways to mass-produce cars using assembly lines. This ability to efficiently create cars was invaluable at a time when the industrial world was growing and needed less expensive, more efficient forms of transportation. Whether it's curiosity, need, or the desire to help others, the creative thinking of inventors helps all of us every day. How do you think inventions happen?
Okay, my girls. We will think about how do inventions happen and how they started by taking the story of a very famous man who changed the way of history and the way that how we see our daily lives. This person is Thomas Edison. So let's see the magnificent story of this person.
In 1868, Thomas Edison took a job in the Western Union Telegraph office in Boston. He found the city an exciting place. Not only did it have a large telegraphic community, it was filled with inventors. One of them was Alexander Graham Bell, who, in 1876, would invent the telephone. Edison worked nights as a press operator and spent his days exploring the shops where telegraphs and other electrical devices were designed and made. Inspired by all the activity he found, Edison soon quit his job to focus full-time on bringing out inventions. He met with people who had money to invest and persuaded them to provide the funds he needed to develop his ideas and have his inventions made. He specialized in telegraphic devices, but he also worked on other inventions. When he was 22 years old, Edison received his first patent. It was for an electric vote recorder. A patent is an official document issued by the government that gives a person or company the sole right to make or sell an invention. Edison hoped the device would be used by state legislatures, but lawmakers were not interested in buying it. The experience taught him a valuable lesson. Never again would he invent something that people didn't want to buy. In 1869, Edison moved to New York City. Many telegraph companies, including Western Union, had their headquarters in the city, which brimmed with business opportunities for an ambitious young inventor. Edison worked for a while for the Law's Gold Indicator Company, where he repaired and improved the company's stock printers. Also called stock tickers because of the noise they made. Stock printers were a kind of telegraph that sent minute-by-minute reports of the changing price of gold to stockbrokers' offices. Pictured here during his tramp telegrapher days, Edison preferred to work night jobs, which he said gave him more leisure to experiment. Anything that won't sell, I don't want to invent. Its sale is proof of utility, and utility is success. That fall, Edison started a business called Pope, Edison and Company, with a fellow inventor named Franklin Pope. They advertised themselves as electrical engineers who could devise electrical instruments and solve problems to order. The company offered a variety of services having to do with telegraph technology and was also committed to bringing out new devices, Edison's specialty. He patented a number of telegraphic improvements that were eagerly bought by the telegraph industry. Finally, he was inventing what people wanted and were willing to pay for. By the age of 23, Edison had earned a reputation as one of the best electrical inventors in the country, which helped him attract more financial backers. In 1870, his partnership with Pope broke up, and Edison opened his very own manufacturing company and laboratory in Newark, New Jersey. Edison hired more than 50 employees to make and sell his stock printers and other equipment and to assist with his many experiments. Among the skilled machinists and clockmakers he hired were Charles Batchelor and John Crucy. A British-born machinist and draftsman, Batchelor soon became Edison's right-hand man, as well as his friend. They worked closely together for nearly 25 years. Crucy, born in Switzerland and trained as a clockmaker, worked with Edison for 20-some years. In the fall of 1871, 24-year-old Edison started his own news service, the News Reporting Telegraph Company. Among the company's employees was a pretty 16-year-old clerk named Mary Stilwell, a Newark girl whose father worked in a sawmill. Edison set his sights on Mary, and after a brief courtship, they married on Christmas Day, 1871. When the couple's first child was born, a daughter named Marion, Edison manufactured at his Newark factory and embellished with his name. Edison's universal printer, a stock ticker, was among his first commercially successful.
Flip the page and let's go for the next one. This is his wife and his
Nicknamed her Dot, after the telegraph signal. Their second child, Thomas Alva Jr., was dubbed Dash, of course. The Edison's third child was named and called William. Soon after their marriage, Mary discovered that she played second fiddle to her husband's true love, inventing. He often spent several days straight at the lab, working through the nights and catching naps on a workbench or desktop when exhaustion overwhelmed him. Whenever Edison was involved with a project, he became totally wrapped up in it. And since he almost always had dozens of inventions going at once, he had little time for anything else. In Newark, Edison first developed the method of team inventing that would characterize the rest of his career. Whenever a new idea for an invention inspired him, he sketched it out in a notebook and then shared the drawing with Batchelor and Crucy, or other trusted assistants. Their job was to take the sketch and see that it was made into a working model. Edison's workers tended to be very loyal to the old man, as they called their young boss. They admired and respected him for the way he worked alongside them, plunging into the dirtiest jobs with enthusiasm and putting in longer hours than anyone else. Moreover, Edison could be generous. He often gave assistants who worked closely with him on an invention a percentage of the profits it made. Mary Stilwell, top. Negative results are just what I want. They're just as valuable to me as positive results. I can never find the thing that does a job the best until I find the ones that don't do. Although Edison's Newark laboratory focused mainly on devices that improved the speed and efficiency of the telegraph, other electrical inventions were also under development. One of these was the electric pen, which could create multiple copies of a handwritten document. Business owners, from lawyers to mapmakers, immediately saw the value of the device, and it sold well. Although Edison manufactured and sold many of his inventions, he also sold the patents for many others. This gave the buyer the exclusive right to make and sell a device. Despite the income this generated, Edison was usually short of cash. That's because he tended to spend most of what he earned from one invention on the next. In 1876, Edison sold his Newark business. He moved his family and about 20 of his best workers, including Batchelor and Crucy.
Flip the page. Let's go for the next one, and then we will explain after a while.
To a small farming village in New Jersey called Menlo Park, located about 20 miles from New York City. There he had a 2-story laboratory built to his design. Unlike most other labs of the time, which combined inventing with manufacturing, Edison's new laboratory was devoted exclusively to researching and developing his ideas. It contained well-equipped chemistry and electrical labs and a machine shop for making models of his inventions. Edison often referred to the place as his invention factory. He bragged that it would turn out a minor invention every 10 days and a big thing every 6 months or so. Edison and his muckers, as he fondly called his crew of fellow experimenters, lived up to the boast. Known as the chief mucker, Edison patented 75 different inventions in the first 2 years at Menlo Park. Among them was an improved version of Alexander Graham Bell's telephone. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Edison, seated. The biggest problem with Bell's telephone was that the sound it transmitted or sent was weak. A caller had to shout into it in order to be heard on the other end of the line. Edison felt sure he could not only find a way to make the telephone sound louder and clearer, he also could make it send messages over longer distances. Eager to gain the advantage in the budding telephone industry, Western Union hired him to do just that. Edison knew that improving the transmitter, the device that converts the sound of a speaker's voice into electrical signals, was the key to better quality sound. The challenge was to find the material that would work best in it. In 1877, less than a year after Bell's invention of the telephone, Edison discovered that tiny pieces of carbon encased in a small container or button gave the best results. Called the carbon button transmitter, the invention not only produced excellent sound, but greatly increased the range of the telephone. A version of it is still used in most telephones today. Paying customers listened through earphones to a recording in a phonograph parlor in Salina, Kansas in the 1890s. Edison manufactured phonographs with a special coin-in slot device for use in saloons and other places of entertainment.
Flip the page and go for the next one.
I had the faculty of sleeping in a chair any time for a few minutes at a time.
Okay, this is Thomas Edison while he's working in his lab, and how sometimes he becomes so exhausted that he didn't sleep for a long time. He will sleep inside his office, sometimes on the chair, sometimes on the floor, just to take a nap to complete his own work. So our story of today is a very important story about a very important person in history. This person is Thomas Edison. And obviously you heard about this person, what he invented. What do you know that he invented? Addison. Now, did you hear about him before? This person? He is the one who
Thomas Edison?
invented the light.
Yeah.
The lights, right? So among the other inventions that he made, it wasn't only lights that he came up with, but other many things that he made in his life. How he started as a young boy, as a really hard worker, young boy who was interested in what? In the device of telegraph at that time. Let me show you the device. How is it? This is just a minute. This is the telegraph. Telegraph was a device that the people used it in the past to write what? To write messages. Messages between one place to another. Instead of having a printer, they didn't have a printer. So they used this device, they call it telegraph. And they used it mostly to what? They used it to communication in wars. They use it in communication from one country to another country. The other country, for example, I want to communicate between America and Saudi Arabia. At that time, Saudi Arabia will have a device like this, and America, they will have a device like this. The person, he will come over the device of the telegraph, and he will just try to press that button right here. Every time he presses on it, there will be a paper, and something will be printed in the paper. What happened is the man on the other side, he will have a headphone like this, and he will try to listen to the dots that you press. Every press that you press it on that button, it will give me a sound. That sound, the other person will interpret it on the way of a code or a message. And then I will write it down with my own hand, and I will give it to people. Oh, the people in America, they try to tell us that there's something here and there and blah, blah, blah. So this is how they communicated through the telegraph. So telegraph was nice, but obviously not a really efficient way to communication. People needed something more than telegraph, because not all people know the language of the telegraph. We needed something to talk with. So what they invented, then Graham Bell, another person who is inventor at that time, he came up with what? With the invention of telephone. He made the telephone. And it was the very basic way of telephone. You know, the one that we use to make it in science class, which is to bring a cup and then a rope or string, and then
Yeah.
yes, he made it similar to this way, but he made it with the plastic and with his own way. But he made it with the same way. If you can see right here, it's like a cup and there's a string. He was the first person ever to invent what? To invent the telephone. People liked the idea. Oh, I can stay in one place and you call me from another place and you call me with your voice and I can hear your voice. So it's better than what? The telegraph. Now, who came after that? Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, in the same time at that age, he was there in America. He was very curious about the telegraph and working in Aslan in that major and in that specialty. So he became what? He became fond of the device of telegraph and he wanted to know more. So he tried to learn more and more and more about it until he came with idea, why I don't come with my own device? So what he did, he take the telegraph and he makes some enhancement on it. And he took the phone of Graham Bell and he makes some enhancement on it to make the sound clearer, because the Graham Bell version wasn't that clear. The person, they have to shout on the phone so you can hear them. So Thomas Edison, he said, I want to solve this problem, and he enhanced the telephone of Graham Bell. When he found in himself the ability to change the inventions and to make a new invention, he started to make his own lab. He started to make his own lab. In his lab, he brought a lot of scientists and a lot of other people who are curious about making what? About making inventions. And they work together day and night just to invent things. What he did is that he did inventing 75 inventions at that time. He made 75 inventions along with his friends inside his labs. Most of these inventions were printers. He invented some of the printers and he enhanced it. And what he did is what? Taken the already existed invention and tried to work on it to enhance it and to improve it. And then after that, after he know the way, how is this device working, he invented his own. Okay, so he invented the printers, telegraphs, and telephones. All of these things he invented it. And then after that, he invented also the light bulbs. And by the way, he is not the first person to make the to make the light bulb, by the way. At that time, another person who is French who was working on the same thing. So Thomas Edison, he always see the people, what they are doing, the competitors, what they are doing. He takes some of their ideas and try to add on it and to enhance it. This was his daily work. Another thing that he mentioned and he was truly believing in is what? Working hard. What Thomas Edison told us, that, you know what? To be a genius is nothing. Genius is a word that people use, but actually genius is being what? 1% of it is talent, that is from God, and 99% of it is work. Because even if you have the talent, but you don't work on it, and you don't try to see what is the capabilities that you have, then your genius, it will be nothing, and your talent, it will be nothing. But if you work that hard, even if you don't have a talent, then you will learn a lot of things. You will know what is the way of making things, and eventually you will be a genius, and the people will call you a genius. And they don't know what is the hard work that you made in in behind the scenes. So this was Thomas Edison. If you see his story and you read his story by your own, you will find that he rarely slept. He worked day and night shifts. And he started from a telegraph boy, as a telegraph boy, until he had his own lab. Not only this, but he also made other people work for him, and he paid for them salaries. More than 50 people, they are working with him. So imagine the amount of success that he has just in a small amount of time. He started as a telegraph boy. He was interested about this whole world of technologies and how to have inventions. And then after that, he see the problems that people have and he tried to solve it. And then he tried to see the other inventions of other competitors and then add to those inventions by work. And then he understand how these devices work and he made his own inventions until he become a real inventor with 75 inventions by his own with his team. Not only this successful story, but also he had one of his worker working with him, a girl. Her name is Mary. He was working with him, and then he met her and he liked her, and they fell in love, and they got married. And from that lady, he got like 3 children. All of this happened in his work. Yani his whole life was his work. Even when he got married, he never and he rarely see his children and his wife because he was always busy inside the lab trying to invent something more. What he did, some people, they asked him, they said, when you invented the light bulbs, you made like 1,000 try 1,000 try until he have the what he know how to make the light bulb. The people tried to make laugh at him and they said, oh, you are not a true inventor because you know what, even though you came with the light bulb, you tried 1,000 times and 999 times you failed and you did one successful try. So how can we tell you that you are a truly inventor? What he said is, without having all of those failures, then I wouldn't know what is the right thing to do. Because every time you fail, my girls, even if you fail in anything, every time you fail, you would understand what is the mistake and what is the wrong that you do, and you will learn from it. So eventually, nothing is wasted. Even your failures, nothing is wasted, because the failures that you are going to learn from, and if you success from the first time, then it will be a piece of cake for you and nobody will admire you. But if you try, you fail and you try, you fail and you try, you fail and try until you have it, then the amount of the success you have and the amount of the appreciation of people would be amazing. And the amount of happiness that you have with your device and with your invention or with your achievement would be what would be remarkable, that you will never know because you worked so hard to achieve that. And this is the view of Thomas Edison. That's why he became very famous and very known in history. Okay, my girls, let's try to read a little bit before we finish. So from the beginning, I need somebody to read. Malak, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, read from here. In 1868.
Okay. In 1868, Thomas Edison took a job in the Western Union Telegraph office in Boston. He found the city an expecting place. Not only did
Exciting
place. Not only did he have a large telegraphic community, it was filled with inventors. One of them was Alexander Graham Bell, who in 1876 would invent the telephone. Edison worked...
It's enough. Lean, are you there, Lean? Lean, can you talk in your mic? Okay, it's your turn now. Edison worked nights as...
Night as a press
operator
and spend his day exploring the shops where telegraphs and other electrical devices were designed and made. Inspired by all the activity he found, Edison soon quit his job to focus full time on bringing out inventions. He met
No,
with
Wasim, complete from here. He persuaded, or he met,
He
sorry.
met, he met with people who had money to invest and persuade them to provide the funds he needed to develop his ideas and have his inventions made. He specialized in telegraphic devices, but he also worked on other inventions. When he was 22 years old, Edison received his first patent. It was for an electric vote recorder.
Excellent, that's enough, Ghalia. A patent is an official.
A patent is an official document issued by the government that gives a person or company the sole right to make or sell an invention. Edison hoped the device would be used by state legislatures, but lawmakers were not interested in buying it. The experience taught him a valuable lesson. Never again would he invent something that people didn't want to buy.
Excellent, that's enough. Yeah, Ghalia, great job, my girls, for your reading. And I want you also to go ahead through the whole story to read it by yourself, because we don't have enough time to make you read the whole page. So try to read the rest of it in your home, and we will complete the story, inshallah, on Wednesday. Until then, stay safe and be okay, and see you, inshallah, tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.